Everyone pictures a building being demolished as a spectacular implosion, a cloud of dust, the whole thing dropping in 5 seconds. In reality, that method is used on fewer than one demolition in 100. The real work of taking a building down is slow, careful, and mostly done from the top with a machine that looks like a giant metal dinosaur. Long before anything comes down, the building is studied harder than when it went up. Engineers pull the original drawings to understand exactly how the loads travel through the structure. Because demolition is the reverse of construction, and you have to take the weight off in the opposite order it was put on. Get that order wrong and the building collapses when and where you did not want it to. Then comes the part that takes the longest and that nobody sees. Soft stripping. Every window, door, pipe, cable, radiator, and ceiling is removed by hand, floor by floor. Hazardous materials, especially asbestos in older buildings, are sealed off and removed by licensed specialists in controlled conditions before a single wall is touched. On many projects, the stripping takes longer than the demolition itself. By the time the machines arrive, the building is just a bare structural skeleton. For most mid-sized buildings, the workhorse is the high-reach excavator. It is a standard track excavator fitted with an enormously long articulated arm, some reaching over 60 meters, tipped not with a digging bucket but with a tool. Usually a hydraulic shear that bites through steel, a pulverizer that crushes concrete and shakes the reinforcing bar loose, or a breaker. The operator sits far back from the building, often in a reinforced cab with a protective screen, and works the structure down from the top, floor by floor, nibbling it apart rather than knocking it over. It is deliberately undramatic, and that is exactly why it is preferred. Compared to the old methods, it throws far less debris, makes less noise, raises less dust, and keeps the operator at a safe distance the whole time. The counterweight and tracks have to be carefully rated, because holding a 60-meter arm out horizontally with a 2-ton tool on the end is a serious balancing act in itself. The wrecking ball, the image everyone has, is now almost a museum piece. A steel ball weighing several tons swung from a crane is powerful, but it is also crude and genuinely dangerous. The crane can be pulled off balance, the swing is hard to control, and it flings debris unpredictably, so it survives only on a few specific jobs. For taller structures, a common modern approach is to send smaller excavators up inside the building itself. A machine is craned onto an upper floor, demolishes the floors above and around it, and the crew then removes the ramp or the floor beneath and lowers the machine down a level to repeat the process. The building is eaten from the inside, shrinking downward, while the outer walls stay up until near the end to contain the debris and the dust. Implosion, the explosive method, is reserved for the rare case where a very tall building sits in a tight space, and taking it down by hand would take too long or be too dangerous. And implosion is a misleading word. The explosives do not blow the building apart. They are placed with enormous precision on specific columns, on specific floors, timed to fire in a design sequence, so that the building's own weight does the demolishing. Remove the right supports in the right order, and the structure simply loses the ability to hold itself up and drops straight down into its own footprint. The charges are tiny compared to the building. What matters is where they are and when they fire, calculated so the collapse falls inward and controlled, not outward onto the neighbors. Weeks of preparation, careful weakening of the structure by hand first, and then a few seconds of the actual event. Around every demolition, there is an invisible boundary that matters as much as any machine. The exclusion zone. It is a calculated area around the structure that nobody except the demolition crew is allowed to enter while work is live. Sized for the height of the building and the method being used, because the real danger in demolition is not the planned collapse, it is the unplanned one. A wall that comes down early, a piece of debris that bounces further than expected, a floor that fails before the operator reaches it. So the sequence is controlled obsessively. Roads are closed, neighboring buildings are sometimes evacuated for an implosion. And for a hand demolition, the site is watched by a supervisor called a spotter, whose only job is to look for the warning signs of an uncontrolled movement and pull everyone back. Services are dealt with first too. Gas, electricity, and water into the building are all disconnected and made safe before anything structural is touched. Because a live gas main inside a building being torn apart is exactly the disaster the whole operation is designed to avoid. Whatever the method, two things dominate the site: water and sorting. Hoses and sprayers run constantly because demolition dust is not just a nuisance, it can carry silica and other hazards, so knocking it out of the air is a safety requirement, not housekeeping. And the rubble is not simply hauled to a hole in the ground. Modern demolition is largely a recycling operation. Concrete is crushed on site and reused as fill or aggregate. Steel reinforcement is magnetically separated and sent back to the mills to be melted down, and timber, brick, and fittings are salvaged where they can be. On a good project, the overwhelming majority of the building, by weight, never reaches landfill at all, which is the quiet truth of demolition. The spectacular 5-second collapse you see on the news is the shortest and least important part. The real job is the weeks of stripping before it and the months of sorting and recycling after it. Follow for more construction facts hiding in plain sight.